Hello friends, the title of this video is not clickbait. This is not something exaggerated for attention, and it is not based on speculation or internet rumors either. What you are about to hear is based on direct guidance that has been issued by the American Bankers Association, the FDIC, and also individual banks across the United States. These are official warnings that have been communicated directly to customers, and in particular, to seniors, telling them very clearly what actions they should immediately stop doing. And I want to be very clear here. This is not casual advice. These are not optional suggestions or general safety tips. These are formal fraud warnings that are backed and supported by federal consumer protection agencies, and they are being taken seriously at a national level. I went through all of this information carefully, piece by piece, because most people either never come across these warnings at all, or they do see them, but underestimate how serious they actually are in real-life situations. So I felt it was important to explain everything in plain, simple language so it actually makes sense and doesn't get ignored. Everything I'm talking about today applies directly to anyone who receives Social Security payments on a card, anyone who visits a bank branch in person, or anyone who uses an ATM machine for cash withdrawals. In other words, this essentially covers almost every senior citizen across the United States without exception. So I strongly recommend you stay with this video until the end, and if you know someone in your family, a friend, or a neighbor who falls into this category, make sure you pass this information to them, because this is exactly the kind of knowledge that can prevent major financial loss before it happens. Before we go further, I want you to subscribe to this channel right now and turn on the notification bell. And I want to explain why that actually matters specifically in this case. The scams I'm going to talk about today are not outdated techniques from years ago. These are not old schemes that no longer exist. These are active, evolving, and ongoing fraud methods that are happening right now in 2026. We are talking about things like cryptocurrency, ATM scams, physical cash trap devices inside ATMs, and also highly manipulative phone and in-person tactics that are becoming more advanced every single year. All of this has already been documented by federal agencies within this year itself. And the troubling part is that most people only find out these scams exist after someone close to them has already lost their savings. What I do here on this channel is track exactly these kinds of developments: new threats, new banking rules, and new protection systems, and then explain them in simple language before they become a real problem in your life or someone you care about. There are hundreds of thousands of people who rely on this channel for exactly this reason, and there is a clear difference. The people who are subscribed usually hear about these risks in time to act. The ones who are not subscribed usually only hear about it after the money is already gone. And that difference, unfortunately, is everything. So go ahead and subscribe, turn on notifications, and now let's get straight into the information. Let's begin with something that has been rapidly increasing in 2026, and something that banks are now actively warning customers about inside physical branch locations across the entire country. There is a type of scheme circulating right now that is capable of emptying senior bank accounts within just a few hours. And what makes it more dangerous is that it does not always start online or over the phone. In many cases, it begins physically, right in front of you, at the ATM machine or even inside the bank branch itself. Banks are now directly warning customers that not everyone standing near you at an ATM is simply an innocent bystander. This year, the American Bankers Association issued an official fraud alert after multiple documented incidents, including cases in Philadelphia and surrounding regions, where criminals were found installing physical cash trap devices inside ATM machines. These are small but highly effective mechanisms that are inserted into the cash dispensing slot of the ATM, and their purpose is to physically capture and hold your cash as it is being released. On the ATM screen, everything appears completely normal. The system shows that your transaction has been successfully completed, but in reality, no cash comes out of the machine. At that moment, most people naturally assume that the ATM has malfunctioned or temporarily failed, and they simply walk away. And that is exactly where the fraud happens. Once the user leaves the area, the device is removed by the criminal, and the trapped cash is taken. Because of these incidents, both the American Bankers Association and the United States Secret Service have issued warnings in 2026 regarding this specific method of theft. So here's the rule that banks are now strongly advising customers to follow. If your cash does not dispense after a successful transaction, you should not immediately walk away from the machine. Instead, remain at the ATM location and contact your bank immediately so the transaction can be flagged while you are still present. Now let's move into rule number 1, which banks are formally emphasizing to seniors everywhere. Your card should never leave your hand, not even for a second. not for a stranger who says they are trying to help you. Not for someone standing nearby offering assistance. Not even in situations near or outside a teller window. And the reason this is so important is because of how quickly modern theft technology works. Devices known as skimmers, and even more advanced versions called shimmers, are capable of capturing your full card data within just a few seconds of physical contact. A shimmer is particularly dangerous because it can be placed directly inside the card reader itself and can read chip-level data, not just magnetic strip information. And the critical part is this: you would not see it, and you would not feel it happening. Just a few seconds of someone else handling your card is enough to compromise it. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where someone tries to take your card, even briefly, you immediately step back and go inside the bank branch instead of continuing outside. If assistance is required, it should only come from a uniformed bank employee inside the branch, never from a random person near the ATM. Now, rule number 2 is about PIN protection, and this is something banks repeat constantly. Your PIN must always be shielded when you enter it, every single time without exception. The official guidance from banking authorities is very clear on this point. Even if you believe no one is nearby, you should still cover the keypad while entering your PIN. The reason is simple. There have been confirmed cases where hidden cameras, reflective devices, and disguised recording tools have been placed near ATM machines specifically to capture PIN entries. Even inside banks, employees are trained to look away when a customer enters their PIN. That is not a courtesy gesture. That is standard security procedure. So if you ever notice that someone does not look away, you are fully within your rights to say clearly, "Please turn away while I enter my PIN." Now, rule number 3 is about your phone. And this is where many people unknowingly become vulnerable. Your phone should remain in your hands at all times inside a bank. This becomes dangerous because it often does not feel like a threat. You may be told that a bank employee needs your phone to help install or fix a banking application. It sounds normal. It sounds helpful. It feels like routine support. However, banks are warning that access to a smartphone with banking apps is essentially access to your entire financial life. There are documented cases where just 30 seconds of access has allowed unauthorized transfers, addition of trusted devices, or installation of remote access tools that later give full control over accounts. So the correct procedure is simple. Bank staff can guide you, but you must perform all actions yourself. If anyone insists on physically holding your phone, you should immediately request a branch manager without hesitation. Now, rule number 4 is one of the most dangerous and fastest growing scams in 2026. Never withdraw cash and deposit it into a cryptocurrency ATM because someone instructed you to do so. This method is being widely reported by agencies, including the FBI and Associated Press, as one of the most rapidly expanding fraud techniques targeting seniors. The structure is always similar. You receive a call or message from someone claiming to represent the IRS, Social Security Administration, Medicare, or law enforcement. They tell you that your account is compromised, or that you owe money, or that your identity is at risk. They sound extremely official. They often know your name, and sometimes even personal financial details. Then they pressure you into withdrawing large amounts of cash immediately and depositing it into a Bitcoin ATM or crypto kiosk, claiming it is the only way to secure your funds. But the moment that cash enters the machine, it is gone permanently. There is no reversal, no recovery, and no traceable return. Because of this rising threat, several states, including Indiana, followed by Tennessee and Minnesota, have moved to restrict or ban cryptocurrency ATM operations in 2026. By May 2026, approximately 30 states had already introduced regulations targeting these machines due to this exact scam pattern. Banks are now also trained to question unusual large cash withdrawals because scammers often remain on the phone with victims, even while they are physically standing at the teller counter. So if you are asked why you are withdrawing a large amount, being honest can sometimes be the final step that prevents a total loss. And to make this absolutely clear, legitimate government agencies like the IRS, Social Security, and law enforcement will never instruct anyone to move money into cryptocurrency under any circumstances. Now, rule number 5 is very simple, but extremely important. Read everything before you sign it. Inside banks, documents are often presented quickly, casually, and sometimes in a way that creates subtle pressure to sign without fully reviewing. But banking rules are clear. You are never obligated to sign any document that you have not read and understood completely. Hidden inside fine print can be automatic services, fee-based enrollments, or changes to credit or data sharing agreements that you did not request. So if you feel rushed, simply say, I need more time to read this carefully. If there is any resistance, ask for a supervisor. And if something appears on your account that you did not authorize, you have the right to dispute it and file a complaint through the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau at consumerfinance.gov. Finally, many banks now offer something called a trusted contact system. This allows you to name a trusted person, usually a family member or close contact, whom the bank can reach if they detect unusual or suspicious account activity that may indicate fraud. Importantly, this person does not have control over your account and cannot move your money. They are simply an alert contact for safety purposes. If your bank provides this option, it is worth considering. So to summarize everything clearly, ATM cash trap devices are active in 2026, so if cash does not dispense, do not leave immediately. Your card must never leave your hand. Always cover your PIN. Never hand over your phone inside a bank. Never send money to a crypto ATM. If this video helped you, please subscribe and share it with someone you know who is on Medicare or Social Security. I'll see you in the next video.